Good afternoon, everyone. Cali X Boxing here on this beautiful Wednesday. It is Hump Day. We're almost to the holiday weekend. Christmas coming up. New Year's coming up next week. So we only have a couple more shows left in the year and a lot to unpack. I'm going to try to unpack as much as possible in a short amount of time today, and then try to get another one in on Friday before the fights actually start. But I'm going to be talking about these fights just in case I can't get that one in on Friday. And then year-end awards will come next week after the Inoue fight, which is, I believe that fight's next Tuesday. Oh my God, Inoue's fighting on a Tuesday. He just can't be on a pound. How can you be on a pound for pound list if you fight on Tuesdays? You fight on Tuesday morning? Oh my God. The dude must suck. He fights on Tuesday mornings? He can't be a pound for pound fighter if he fights on Tuesday morning. So we're going to have a fight, a meaningful fight, undisputed fight next Tuesday morning. And after that, we'll get to the year-end awards, because I'm going to wait till after the Inoue fight, because I have a feeling that's going to have implications as far as year-end awards, particularly the big one, Fighter of the Year. Wheelchair Man John, good afternoon. My boxing brother, good afternoon to you. Edwin Castillo, hit the likes on the way in or on the way out. And Edwin Castillo, I'll try to give you a little bit of what you like today, so y'all can hit the like button. You know, I'm going to try to hit everybody's agenda today. Try to do that. Anthony Sanchez, salute to you. Jesus M, saludos. No one cares about the Saudi card. Jesus, not a fan of the Saudi card. And let's start there. I've been called the negative Nancy this week, Jesus. I've been called the negative Nancy when speaking about this fight. So you and I will fit in today. We'll fit in together. Pause. You know, much like you, I've been called the negative Nancy when it comes to this card. Look, it's a lot of cool faces on a poster. I'll give it that. That poster looks really cool. The press conferences look really cool. They're out there wearing robes, tossing money around. The oil money is flowing like water. Oh my God, the Saudis have all these promoters sitting there and all these fighters sitting there, and everybody's laid down their egos like the swords, right? So you say, that's impressive, and it is. It's impressive. But you have to ask yourself, what kind of money is being thrown out, just thrown around to get these egos all in check, to stand in one picture, to sit there, press conference, and just quietly like watch these guys. I'm watching this press conference, and I'm watching these guys, and they're waiting their turns to talk, and they're all on their best behavior. And I'm like, good Lord, man. Never seen this before in boxing. All these egos are in check. You say, that's impressive that the Saudis can pull that off. But and I've warned you, for the Great Reset heads out there, the guys waiting around for the Great Reset, you know, and guys are going to have to really earn their paychecks now and all this stuff. And you got to imagine the amount of money they're tossing around to get these egos in check. And you say, there'll always be people willing to overpay fighters in the sport of boxing. And that's always going to leave in jeopardy this great reset that we need in boxing, right? And I would argue we don't. We can still get what we want without a great reset. We need some sort of reset. But this reset that everybody's been wanting and calling for, that's going to start in 2024, right? Ain't happening. Ain't happening. You're going to see more of the same. You're going to see more inactivity. You're going to see more pay-per-views. This is a pay-per-view on Saturday. And not only is it a pay-per-view, I think it's a showcase pay-per-view. It's another showcase pay-per-view in 2023. And like I said, it's cool having Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder on the same cards. And what I'm about to say is going to rub people the wrong way. People want to hear that this is the greatest thing in the world. People want to hear that, oh my God, boxing is really nailing it on Saturday. And look, man, you're going to get a lot of highlights. You're going to get some sketchy fights from some favorites, and this may break out to a good card. It may. It may. But what you have on the surface here, even if a great card breaks out, what is the purpose of this is to set up something else in the spring. That's the purpose of this whole card. It's why Jaya Opatai is in a mismatch. It's why Dimitri Bivol is in a mismatch. Although Otto Wallen and Joseph Parker, those are not easy fights. The purpose of those fights are to set up something bigger in the spring, and that's Deontay Wilder, Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder. Make no mistake about that. So what you're getting on Saturday night is that the purpose of this is showcase card, and they're going to charge you for it. And it's really cool to get all those faces and names on a poster. It is. But what you have is, if you take the 8 fights on this card, the average betting odds for this card is 19.5 to 1, almost 20 to 1 currently. It's a mismatch card, fellas. That's what we got. Merry Christmas to Nando. Appreciate you rolling through. Just a bunch of showcase fights, but a lot of names. Anything can happen in the heavyweight division, and that's the case. Anything can happen. Parker could pull off an upset. Wildland could pull off an upset, but and I get it. Like, there's something coming right behind this, so it's progress. It's taking us in a direction, right? As D-Style said last night when we were talking together. That's why I'm okay with this, as long as it takes me somewhere. But you know what I'd rather see? I'd rather see, instead of B-Vol setting up a fight with Lyndon Arthur against somebody else, Better Biev, possibly, in the spring, how about you just give me B-Vol versus Better Biev? They got enough money to throw around to make that happen in December. Anthony Joshua, fighting Alawalin. Deontay Wilder fighting Joseph Parker. There's a threat that fight can fall apart if chaos happens on Saturday due to over-marination. How about you just give me that fight on Saturday at the top of the bill? It's too hard to make. It's too hard. I got news for you, fellas. In order for Deontay Wilder to sit there at a press conference with a smile on his face, knowing that he's fighting on the undercard of Anthony Joshua, you had to have paid that guy a good bit of money. And then you got to pay him on the back end of that, because you promised him Deontay Wilder fight in the spring if he wins. And Anthony Joshua fight in the spring if he wins. So you're already tossing around a ton of money. They got money to toss around. How about you just give me my fight? I have no tolerance anymore for marination, and these fights have already been over-marinated. Better Biev is 40, pushing 40. Bivol not young. Bivol's fighting for the first time in 13 months. Deontay Wilder has 1 win in the past 4 years. 1. He's fought 90 seconds of action in the past 2 years. How about you just give me my fight? You've already over-marinated this. We already could have had Anthony Joshua versus Deontay Wilder many times over. And now you're telling me, just wait. So I get it. I get that people are impressed. There are things that I'm impressed with as well. Like I said, to put those egos aside, to get all those guys to sit there at a press conference and wait their turn to speak and wait their turn to work out. Man, those dudes have been read the riot act by their promoters, by the Saudis. They've been told to behave, and they've been told that you're going to get what you want on the back end. You're going to get a ton of money, fight or not. And the news I got for the boxing fans out there is, yes, it's good that we're going to get some fights that the promoters have been letting us down on. But there's also a negative that comes with it, is a lot of these guys aren't going to fight for anything less than what the Saudis are giving them right now. And that's going to lead to some inactivity. And you're going to have fighters who haven't gotten Saudi money yet and saying, I want to go fight over there. Tank's waiting around for face of boxing money to fall in his lap because he's believing his promoters when they tell him that he's the face of boxing. And he's saying, Canelo's getting $50 million. Look at what these guys are getting over in Saudi. If I'm the face of boxing, why are you offering me whatever you're offering me? I'm the face of boxing. I'm the face, right? I want face of boxing money. But he's not worth face of boxing money. From where I'm sitting, none of these guys are worth what they're getting paid at the top. And that's a threat to the Great Reset. Tanks will be waiting around. Bill Haney's out there, and I got some stuff to say about that in a minute, but Bill Haney's out there saying, we're offering you $20 million. Where you at, Tank? $20 million, $20 million, $20 million. And Tank's probably not intelligent enough to believe that this is a fake deal. And he's probably asking his promoters, where's this $20 million? These guys think I'm worth 20 million over here to fight. Why don't you? Where's my money? It's going to be hilarious to see how all this shakes out. Let me get to some comments here. Salute my brother. There's too many showcase fights not to be a couple of upsets. It's the way of the universe. I think so too. I think we're going to get some upsets on this card. People confuse being realistic with being negative. That's exactly it. Saudi card is a sham. Grab money while the rest of us struggling in these inflation. And wheelchair man, John, you hit on something there. Sometimes realists are. I'm just telling people what I believe they need to hear. And if I'm seen as the bad guy for that, so be it. It is what it is. Saludos to Nando. Like I said earlier, Calix is a Scrooge when talking about this card. And you're right. That's actually a decent price for a pay-per-view. I just don't think this should be a pay-per-view at all. It is what it is. I can't wait till Saturday, so Bruce is excited for it. And that's fine. I'm not trying to ruin anybody's party. For me, it's just give me my fights. Give me the fights I want. I don't need to see build-up. Enough with the foreplay. We've already been foreplayed to death as boxing fans. Just give me what I want. If Parker and Wallen win. And I'm for the chaos. Let me make that clear. I'm for chaos on Saturday night. If you're not going to give me the fight that is already there, that you could have made Saturday night, just give me chaos. The Joker hanging out the window. Give me my chaos. Chaos. Hair blowing in the wind. Chaos. I will be laughing and laughing and laughing if Wallen and Parker end up winning these fights. The odds of them both winning are not good. But look, this is the odds we're looking at. AJ versus Wallen, minus 450. That's decent. Hrgovic versus Damari, minus 5,000. Hrgovic is a 50-1 favorite. Sanchez versus Fa is now 20-1, minus 2,000. Magadov is an 11-1 favorite. Opatai is a 4-1 favorite now against Ellis Zorro, 24-1 favorite. Dimitri Bivol is now up to a 35-1 favorite against Lyndon Arthur. 35-1. And I got news for y'all. Bivol has a way of just looking mid in fights like this and just kind of coasting easily to victory. So I think the play in that fight is Bivol by decision. Bivol hasn't had a stoppage, I think, in like 5 years, fellas. So he just has a way of putting it in third gear and coasting in fights like this and looking mid. And I think it's going to be more of the same in this fight. He's going to be looking to get rounds after a 13-month layoff. And he's the type of dude that is not interested in impressing people. He's just not. You hear him talk. He's just not interested in impressing people. He's not interested. He just does not have a good personality. He's not interested in marketing and entertainment value. He will go in there and mid you to death for 12 rounds against Lyndon Arthur and win 120-108. He'll do it. And I think he'll do it on Saturday. Dubois versus Miller, -3. So that's the closest odds fight. -330 for Dubois. And as far as that fight goes, it was called to my attention earlier on Twitter. Chilltown Boxing put it out there. Shout out to him that Dubois has taken a knee in fights, taken a knee 6 times in his career. Not been knocked down, not been knocked out, has taken a knee willingly 6 times in fights. And the thing that I was frustrated with when I saw Dubois against Usyk is good performance. He fought better than I expected. And you could argue he knocked Usyk down with a body shot and things would have gotten interesting had they called that a body shot. You could argue that there was some controversy there. And Dubois showed skills in that fight. But what he also shows is, you could call it a character flaw, depending on the situation. But in this case, I think it's a character flaw in that he looks disinterested at times and lacks a dog in him in fights. And it's good in that he didn't seem to be overly impressed or shocked by anything Usyk brought to the table, right? But at the same time, in the fight, you would like to see him show more urgency in some of these fights. But instead, he'll take knees in fights. After the fight with Usyk, the people online are more upset with the non-knockdown call than Dubois was. He almost seemed once again disinterested. So I think he's sort of one of those fighters that we used to say this about European fighters 10, 15 years ago. The joke was these guys are going to take a knee to American fighters, stuff like that. Dubois sort of fits that personality, and he'll take a knee to fighters. He will tap out, I believe, in the future. I don't know if this is going to be that fight. You're looking at Big Baby Miller coming in at 330 pounds for this fight. 330 pounds. So I think he'll be out of shape. So I think the safe bet in that fight is to play some sort of stoppage, to say that's not going the distance. I think that's a safe play in that fight, because you have people saying Big Baby Miller is undervalued, but I think the safe play there is stoppage, because both fighters have some flaws. The heavyweight division is just a flawed division, and that's what makes this card intriguing is you have heavyweight fights here, and in this division, this current heavyweight division, period, it can all go downhill with one punch, right? It's what makes Deontay Wilder dangerous. One punch. He erases everything. The heavyweight division. But also that a lot of these heavyweights, particularly at the top, are flawed. They're all severely flawed. You saw that with Tyson Fury against Ngannou. People were making Tyson Fury out to be the greatest heavyweight of all time, whatever they were saying. He goes in there, and I thought he lost to Ngannou. And then you got Wilder versus Parker, minus 800. So if you take all those betting odds, the average there is 1950 to 1, or 1950 minus 1950. So 19.5 to 1 betting odds on average. The closest is Dubois Miller, then AJ versus Wallen, and then Wilder versus Parker. And then everything after that is 10 to 1 or higher. That's what you got. You got showcase fights with Bivol and Opatai in particular this weekend. So it is what it is. I think you have a chance of some upsets at the top, but Opatai is not getting upset by Zorro. Bivol's not getting upset by Arthur. Just forget about it. That's not happening. Just forget about it. Hrgovic is not getting upset. The biggest threats to being upset would be AJ and Dubois, to be honest. I think they got those betting odds correctly. Synonymous. Yep. Bezos ain't trying to guarantee nothing. I don't think you're getting your great reset. I don't think you're getting your great reset. But I was talking about the impressive thing about the Saudis is they have a way of throwing around money and getting people to put egos aside. So it's hilarious to me when it was announced officially that Deontay Wilder is the co-main event in this card. And I got people coming at me on Twitter, and that's fine. That's par for the course. Look at these boxing fans. Why can't you just be a good boxing fan and just wherever the fights happen and just be happy? It doesn't matter who puts on the fight. It doesn't matter what order the fights are in. Fair enough, man. Like fair enough. Fair enough. I agree with you. I agree. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Here's the issue. For years, the zone was dead zone. It was dead zone. For years, our guys don't fight on apps over here. We don't fight on apps. An app? The hell is an app? Look at your fighters over there fighting on an app. Your fighters are fighting on an app. Oh my God. They're fighting on an app. Before it mattered what order fights were in. It mattered who's the A side and the B side. It mattered if it had happened on an app or not. Deontay Wilder never leaves Showtime. Showtime's where it's at. Everybody knows Showtime is the best. Best production value. It brings you the most. If you're not fighting on Showtime, then you ain't doing it. You are not doing it. So, Saturday night, is the fight on Showtime? What time are the fights airing on Showtime Saturday night? Anybody know? Like, leave me can y'all tell me what time the fights are airing on Showtime on Saturday night? Can y'all tell me that in the chat? What time are the fights airing on Showtime? Can somebody tell me in the chat? What time does a Showtime card start on Saturday night? Can y'all tell me? Can somebody answer in the chat? What time does the Showtime card start on Saturday night? I'm waiting. Waiting. Anybody in the chat? Oh, that's right. It's airing never. I forgot. I almost forgot. I just remembered. Showtime boxing doesn't exist anymore. Oh, my bad. Oh. So Deontay Wilder's not fighting on Showtime. He's not. The Showtime card on Saturday night is airing never. And Deontay Wilder is fighting on what app? Can somebody put in the chat what app is Deontay Wilder fighting on Saturday night? Who's airing this card on Saturday night? I know multiple platforms, but what's the main platform that's airing Deontay Wilder's card on Saturday night? It rhymes with Lead Zone, I think. Lead Zone. Oh, DAZN. You're right. Formerly known as Dead Zone. It's airing on Dead Zone? There's no way. I know it's airing on the Plus too. I get it. But there's no way. The Dead Zone app? It's an app? Dead Zone's an app? Is Dead Zone is an app? Oh my God. So he's not fighting on Showtime and he's fighting on an app called Dead Zone. It's crazy. Oh my God. And is he fighting in the main event? Yes or no? Somebody hit me up in the chat. Is Deontay Wilder the main event on Saturday night? Is he the main event? Is he the main event? Is Deontay Wilder the main event? I won't wait. The answer is no. But I've been assured with the mental gymnastics on Twitter, I've had people tell me it's the co-main. Before it was an undercard, but now Deontay Wilder is actually fighting on the co-main. And I'll ask, is he fighting before or after Anthony Joshua? Is Deontay Wilder fighting before or after Anthony Joshua on this card? Before. But I've been assured it's not the undercard. It's not the undercard. This is actually the co-main event, so he's still the main event. It's a co-main event. It's not Calix. It's not an undercard. It's not an undercard. But he's fighting underneath Anthony Joshua, right? Yes, but that's not the undercard. It's a co-main event. It's a co-main. He's fighting the co-main. You know what co-main sounds to me like? Undercard. He's fighting underneath Anthony Joshua, like he's fighting before him. That's an undercard. That's an undercard. So he's fighting on Anthony Joshua's undercard, which is weird because I was told that he was the A side over Anthony Joshua. I was also told he'll never fight anywhere but Showtime. And now I got dudes hitting me with the semantics, the Steven Espinoza semantics that he always hits me with on Twitter. It's a co-main. It's not an undercard. And he's actually fought on DAZN before internationally. And DAZN has aired and televised his fights internationally. All right? And it's not actually DAZN putting on the fight. It's Frank Warren putting on the fight. And the Saudis and DAZN is just televising it. Okay. Got it. And I'm also being hit with, you're not a real boxing fan because you care about these things. And what I'm telling you is I don't care about these things. I've just been told for years and years and years and years by the same crowd that's been pushing the Deontay Wilder narratives that he's the cash cow at heavyweight, that Anybody who fights on Showtime, they're automatically above anybody not fighting on Showtime, because anybody not fighting on Showtime, just fighting on an app, and they're just not worth. There's no way they can be an A-side because they're fighting on an app. So I run the risk of being lumped in with them and being accused of someone who cares about such things. But guess what? I don't care about that either. You guys are going to eat your humble pie. Your king, your heavyweight king, who has never lost a fight, although he has, but he hasn't lost a fight, right? Although he has, is fighting on Anthony Joshua's undercard on Dead Zone. And you're going to have to eat that. And I'll be here to remind you of that, because other content creators are scared of the pushback, I suppose, and they don't want to be lumped in with people who care. And you should be above that, Callis. You should be above that. You should be above that. You should just care about the fights and not care where they are and not care about any of that. You should be above that. No, I'm not. Sorry. Deontay Wilder is fighting on the undercard, not the co-main. He's fighting on Anthony Joshua's undercard. And he's fighting on Dead Zone. And that's unfortunate. It's very unfortunate. But he will be making $1 gazillion. That's the good news for him. So great move for him. But not so great for the dudes who have been carrying his water for so long now. Not so good for them. If no one else will remind them of this, then I'll be here to do it. Bill Haney. And look, man, just overall thoughts on a day of reckoning. It could end up being an entertaining card. It very much will be. It could end up being something that it's not meant to be. What it is meant to be and what people need to hear is this is a showcase card. And they want it to be, the reason that it's 20-1 odds across the board average is they want this to be a showcase card. It's a lot of cool. And look, the Saudis have that marketing down. They know how to get everybody in order. They know how to destroy everyone's egos. They know how to get the fighters in order and say, take your money, sit there. Yes, sir. No, sir. That's what you're going to do. And we're going to give you a bunch of money. You're going to fight in our order. You're going to do whatever we say. And they do the same thing with the media. And the media will go out there and be their lapdogs and call this the greatest card of all time. I'm telling you that it is cool. It does give off good vibes, but at the end of the day, it's still 20-1 on average. But it could end up being some upsets and some fun stuff because we are talking about heavyweights. Things can change with one punch. And on top of that, we have very flawed heavyweights at the top. Deontay Wilder, fellas, he's got one win in the past 4 years. One. He's got 90 seconds of action in the past 2 years. He's almost 40 years old. This is an old division full of flawed fighters. Tyson Fury just, I thought, lost to a guy who's 0-0. It is what it is. And Anthony Joshua, I think, more and more we see each fight, he looks like a guy without an identity as a fighter at this point. Good resume overall. Very good resume overall. Strong resume. But at this point, he looks like a fighter. And the more I see Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder talk and speak, the more I just think they're not all there anymore. It just is what it is. So you could see some upset at the top. These are very flawed fighters at the top of the heavyweight division. So it is what it is. Bill Haney. Why so much hating on? There's no hating. There's none. No hating. No hating on Wilder whatsoever. Bill Haney. What Bill is looking like a genius to me right now. I love what Bill's doing. And I see people not reading this correctly. They're taking Bill and what he says at face value. And that's not how you read this. Bill has learned, I think, that he's looked at the landscape. He's figured out that instead of bullying the bully, you've heard of bullying the bully, right? I'm going to troll the trolls. I'm going to cap the cappers. I'm going to try to out-fraud the frauds. How Shakur and how Loma have handled the Tank situation at 135 is all wrong. It's all wrong. It's all wrong. And with Loma, you say he's fighting the fights at lightweight. That's good. Fought Teofimo in the middle of a lockdown in an empty arena. That's good. Fought Devin Haney. That's good. Arguably won the fight. All that's good, right? Where Loma, where he dropped the ball, and I can't really blame him because much like Pacquiao, English is his second language. I think a lot of stuff gets lost in translation, and I don't think those guys properly understood the American boxing landscape, even to this day with Pacquiao. They don't understand that a lot of it is perception. A lot of it is manipulating the media. And you could say with Lomachenko, I hear people to this day say that he benefited from the media. I get it. With ESPN, much like Golovkin with HBO. I get it. But Lomachenko doesn't properly know, much like Pacquiao, how to get on a microphone after a fight and specifically call out certain fighters, specifically call out different things. He does have arrogance about him that he thinks he's above those things. He thinks he's above winning certain rounds late in fights that end up costing him sometimes. Much like Comey, could have stopped Comey, ended up playing with his food, get a decision. There's an arrogance about him. He doesn't feel like he needs to do certain things above and beyond in the ring. That's cost him. About how he's been viewed, his perception, public perception. But one of the things is Tank has been allowed in the lightweight division and around it to fight in this minor league circuit, but yet still get major league pub, major league marketing, major league pound for pound rankings, while still fighting in this kiddie pool. You have this Olympic-sized pool over here where real fighters are fighting real fights, and then you got Tank over here in this little kiddie pool, but he's being treated by the media and others like he's in this Olympic-sized pool. And I've heard Bob Arum and Lomachenko say things, and I think Bob is perfectly fine with Lomachenko fighting top-ranked fighters, much like Pacquiao fighting top-ranked fighters. I think it was perfectly fine with Pacquiao, Mayweather being marinated for years and years and years. But that's where Pacquiao, I wanted him back in the day to be more aggressive and say, you never cared about this. You got fighters in your own gym popping dirty. You got rumors of you popping dirty as well. Yet all of a sudden you turn it when I come to the table, you're acting like Nancy Reagan. I would have loved to have Manny Pacquiao go on offense as far as marketing and chasing a Floyd Mayweather fight and call him out on his BS. Right? And Lomachenko hasn't done that either when it comes to Tank. He said some things. This guy doesn't want to fight me. What am I going to do? He doesn't want to fight me. I don't know what I'm going to do. I want to see him specifically act like a boogeyman and hunt down Tank and post-fight press conferences, etc. And they've let him off the hook. And Shakur, the same thing. I've seen Shakur big up Tank at the expense of guys like Devin Haney and Lomachenko. Yeah, I'll beat Devin Haney and Lomachenko. That's fine. Probably because it's more realistic that he gets those fights, right? So he wants to talk trash to those guys. But he's put Tank almost on a pedestal, Shakur, and said things like he's the A side. It's going to happen on its own time, etc., etc. I don't want to hear that. As a boxing fan who wants to see Tank fight real fights, who sees talent there and just wants to see this guy fight real fights, I want to see him shamed publicly into fighting those fights. Tank is agnostic as to where his career goes. He's agnostic, completely agnostic. I've heard him in interviews say, no, I haven't knocked on Floyd's door. Haven't knocked on Leonard's door. I haven't knocked on Al's door about those fights. No, just I'll fight whoever, whatever. The good thing is when Tank says he'll fight whoever, I kind of believe it. But the bad thing is he'll fight whoever. He'll literally go up there with Short Bus Raleigh. He'll literally fight Raleigh Romero. He'll fight anybody, literally. And Leonard, Floyd, Al take advantage of that. Low risk, high reward. Low risk, high reward. Low risk, high reward. They continue to put him in those fights. So then boxing fans start to ask these questions like, wait a second. Wait. Generally, when that happens, they're hiding something. But the weird thing about this is he looks super talented. So what could they possibly be hiding? I don't know. So he gets the Ryan fight. It does $1 gazillion, whatever it does, whatever they're saying it did. But that's due to Ryan talking himself into that fight. Rehydration clauses, catch weight, not listening to Golden Boy, listening to his attorney, because there is split factions in that Ryan Garcia camp. And that could put some cold water on these Ryan versus Devin talks as well, because I'm hearing that this is real. They're talking. Ryan's team, Devin's team, wheels are in motion. They're talking. Oscar's out there saying it too. We're in motion now. We're talking. And by the way, when it comes to Ryan, we got to give Ryan this. He wants to fight the fights. I'm not a believer in his talent. I think he's extremely flawed. I don't think he's going to reach that destination, but that son of a bitch will fight the fights. He's showing that, especially if this Devin fight goes through, he'll fight the fights. You got to give Ryan that. But what has Bill Haney learned from the whole Tank, Loma, Shakur situation? He's learned that we can't just sit back and let these dudes control the media. We can't let them control the narrative. I'm going to control the narrative. I'm not going to let Tank and Leonard and Floyd and Al just sitting back there like a puppet master, control the whole narrative that Tank runs this whole division and everything around it. Everything's orbiting around Tank. I'm going to call Devin the face of boxing. Why not? Tank's calling himself the face of boxing. He's certainly not the face of boxing. The face of boxing. This dude was doing 200,000 pay-per-views buys on average before he fought Ryan. And you get that jump. We'll see what he's going to do after. Now he's calling himself the face of boxing based off of what? So if he can call himself the face of boxing, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to call Devin the face of boxing. Yeah, but he only did 50,000 pay. Who cares? Who cares? There's no science behind this. If there was science behind it, then Canelo would be the only face of boxing. Because face of boxing is face of boxing. There's one. It's singular. If you want to say faces of boxing, it's a different thing. Then we can put them in order. Tank is certainly not the face of boxing, so guess what? I'm going to just call Devin the face of boxing. And if Tank and his team can send out all these bogus offers and emails, guess what? I'm going to do the same. Matias, $4 million an hour after the fight. Yeah, you got an offer. You got an offer. Shakur, 25%. 25%. Yeah, you got an offer. He's controlling the narrative. He's controlling it. And it's been beautiful when it comes to Tank, because Tank and his team deserve to be publicly shamed. They deserve to get a taste of their own medicine. Their own medicine is they've been doing this to people for years. Now Tank's got to eat that. Bill has perfectly sized up Tank and his team. Bill knows that we're going to shame Tank. We're not taking a rehydration clause. And we know you're not willing to face us at 165 pounds on fight night. We know it. We're going to call you on it. Call our bluff. This is Bill bluffing the bluffers. We've heard of bullies bullying the bully, or bullying the bully, right? This is bluffers. This is a guy bluffing the bluffers. He's saying, yeah, we offer you $20 million. Tank, when you going to take it? Every day on IG Live. Tank, where you at, Tank? Why you running, Tank? Why you running? He's taking full advantage because he's sized up Tank. They know that Tank is completely agnostic as to where his career goes. When Tank is saying stuff publicly and then he's deleting it 5 minutes later, when Tank is out there saying, Al, I haven't heard from Al. I'm supposed to hear from Al last night. I'm willing to work with anybody. And then Eddie comes up in the DMs and then he screenshots it, right? Tank's all cap. It's like leaning on a shift button. It's all cap. He's completely agnostic as to who he fights and where his career goes. but he's fully trusting. Despite what he'll say publicly every once in a while, he's going to trust completely Al Floyd Leonard. He's willing to go wherever they want him to go, and he knows, Bill knows, that those guys are not going to send Tank in there without a rehydration clause, without a catch weight. He knows it, and he's calling him on it. He's saying, call my bluff. Call it. Let's see. Just like he knew Jay Prince, Shakur weren't going to come out and properly handle that 25% situation correctly. The correct way to handle that would have been, I'll take the 25% offer. Send it to us. Send it to us. Give me all the belts. Let's do this transaction. Send it to us. But instead, they'll say things like, we're not worth 25%. We're not. Call this bluff. It's not a real offer. We all know that. Bob said it's not a real offer. Call his bluff. And Bill knows in this situation, particularly when it comes to Tank Davis, that they're not going to do it. They're not going to send Tank in there without a rehydration clause and a catch weight. They're not going to do it. There's no way. There's just no way. And Tank doesn't know how to handle this situation when it comes to Bill Haney. And Bill knows that. Bill is dealing with this beautifully. I'll work with Ryan over here. We'll get a Ryan fight. We'll try to get that to the finish line, because that's good for both sides. At the same time, I'll be over here shaming Tank. This could have been you over here fighting us. But instead, you're going to go over there and fight Isaac Cruz on an app. Isaac Cruz rematch. And Bill already knows how this is going to play out. He knows. And I guarantee you, Tank's team is not liking how Bill is going out publicly and shaming them. He's already figured them out. He knows. There's no way they're going to send the Tank in there to fight Devin without a rehydration clause and a catch weight. At least a rehydration clause. And I think it's hilarious, by the way, how last week before the Regis fight, Devin Haney was pillow-fisted, right? He was pillow-fisted. He can't hurt a fly. Dude cannot hurt a fly. Now all of a sudden, he's this big bruiser, 165 pounds. It's not safe for anybody. I thought he was pillow-fisted. Why does it matter? It doesn't knock anybody out. Now it's not safe. Now it's not fair. Now he's a weight bully. Have you not been paying attention to him rehydrating 20 to 25 pounds? Before, it wasn't a problem when he beat Lomachenko. Now all of a sudden it's a problem. Why is it a problem now? Because he's a threat to Tank. Like I said, when there's a threat to Tank, the obstacles become a lot more obstacle-y. Those obstacles become huge, way too insurmountable. Just like with Floyd and Pacquiao, drugs. He's a drug cheat. We can't do this fight for at least 5-6 years because of drugs. And when it comes to Devin with Tank, same team, they're going to say, this isn't safe for boxing. It's not safe for boxing. The guys be rehydrating like this. I understand he's pillow-fisted. He can't knock anybody out, but I'm telling you, 165 pounds, man, it's just too much. It's too much. We can't have fighters outweighing other fighters by that much. Can't have it. If it was Manny Barrios, wouldn't matter. But Devin, oh yeah, it matters now. And Bill knows it. Bill has sized him up. And people are going to get in the weeds with this. And this is what I'm warning you as boxing fans. You look out for your own interests. You don't worry about what these other dudes are talking about when they say real boxing fans don't behave like this. Real boxing fans don't shame a guy on an undercard because he's doing what's right. No. Sorry. No. We are going to shame. And because I've been here throughout what these dudes were saying, how they were shaming people before, how they were sending people our way, trying to dox people over stuff like this. No, you're going to eat your words now. You're going to eat your words. You're going to deal with this. And I would warn you, do not get in the weeds with this Bill Haney stuff. Don't do it. We all want Tank to fight real fights, right? So sit on the side and say, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to say, Tank, why aren't you taking the 20 million? That's just between us. That is a fake offer, right? I know it's a fake offer. 20 million, just like the Matias offer, fake 4 million offer. We knew that. We knew that right away, right? We knew the 25% with Shakur was a fake offer. We knew that. We knew that already. That's between us when it comes to Tank. Between us, we know 20 million is a fake offer. We know that. We know Bill isn't in a position to send anybody a $20 million offer. We know that. But what we're going to do is we're going to pretend like that's a real offer. We're going to say, why is Tank running for the hills? Why won't he take 20 million to fight Devin Haney? Why won't he? Well, he can't because rehydration, he's 165. I thought he was feather-fisted. I thought he didn't knock anybody out. I thought as soon as he walked in the ring with Tank, that Tank touches his chin and Devin falls because Devin has no chin, right? Devin had no chin in the 11th round against Linares, even though that was 5 belts, 5 fights, and a weight class ago. I thought he had no chin. And I thought he had no power, so he stands no chance against Tank. Remember, because Tank wins all of the mythical matchups, all of them. Not only currently, but in lightweight history. He wins them all. All of them. He wins all of them without fighting them. So what's the problem? What's the problem? 20 million is a lot of money. Why don't you just take it? Take the $20 million offer. Take it. Take it. Well, we got to make sure the weight is right because rehydrating to 165 is bad for boxing. It's bad for boxing. Can't do it. Catch weights aren't bad for boxing? No, it's just not. It depends on the situation. So that's when you'll hear the obstacles come up. And then you'll hear Tank is the face of boxing, so he deserves what Canelo's getting, right? And I guarantee you, that's the hilarious part is I guarantee you Tank is having those conversations behind the scenes. Because, like I said, not the sharpest tack. But I guarantee he's looking around. He's like, Canelo's making 50 million and those guys are making over in the Saudi. I thought I was the face of boxing. And nobody's there to tell him, dude, you're not the face of boxing. You're not the face of boxing. You're not even close. You're not the face of boxing, Tank. I'm sorry, but he doesn't have anybody in his corner to tell him that. Everybody's telling him he's the face of boxing, right? And Leonard's out there saying he's the face of boxing. So he's just going to believe he's the face of boxing. So I got to be sitting around saying, why am I not making 50 million per fight if I'm the face of boxing? I don't get it. That's what you're paying. You're paying Canelo that, and you're not paying me that. And I'm the face of boxing. So what is happening? But this is what I'm saying as far as don't get in the weeds, because Leonard is allowed to go out there and lie. Floyd's allowed to go out there and lie. Al, he's out there playing puppet master. He doesn't say anything, but he sends people out there to lie and say things like Tank's the face of boxing. Tank makes $1 gazillion or whatever. They lie about live gates. They lie about pay-per-view numbers. They lie about everything, right? So if they're allowed to lie and control the narrative and completely control the board, I'm glad that Bill is coming and turning the board over. He's shaking it up. He's saying, guess what? There's a new sheriff in town. Devin's the face of boxing. And everybody's sitting there like, Devin's the face of boxing. What's he talking about? I'm like, yes, Devin's the face of boxing. That's me as a boxing fan because I know what he's doing. He's now controlling the messaging. Everything before orbited around Tank at 135, and dudes just accepted this for years. And Bill's saying, we're not accepting that. Sorry. Devin's the face of boxing. Based off of what? 50,000 pay-per-view buys. It doesn't make you the face of boxing. So what? Who cares? He's saying he's the face of boxing, so I'm going to say he's the face of boxing. Why not? I don't have to prove it. There's no science behind this. There's no map that I have to show you. He's the face of boxing. They're calling him the face of boxing, so guess what? Now I'm the face of boxing. My guy's the face of boxing. Why? Because I said so. And I'm sitting there, and I spot it right away. I say, yeah, he's the face of boxing. Yeah, he did offer Tank $20 million. I believe him. I believe him. Although between me and you, we know that's cap, right? It's all cap. We know it's cap that Devin is the face of boxing. He's not the face of boxing. But for the sake of this, he's the face of boxing. That's how I'm going to play with it. That's how I'm going to deal with it. It doesn't make me a real boxing fan. I know I got to see this thing neutral. I got to look at it neutral. Guess what? I'm not. For the sake of shaming Tank Davis, who has been unwilling to give us the fights that we want for years, for the sake of shaming his team, who has no problem shaming people like me and sending people my way to dox me publicly, guess what? All's fair in love and war. I believe him. I believe he sent you a $20 million offer. I believe that you are running for the hills from Devin Haney. I believe you are scared to death of Devin Haney. I believe you are unwilling to fight him at 140. I believe that if you do fight him at 140, you will slap a rehydration clause on him because you're scared to death of fighting a 165-pound pillow-fisted fighter. Believe it. I believe when you say you're willing to fight anybody, you mean it. And you're willing to fight a Raleigh Romero. You're willing to fight Isaac Cruz again, even though nobody's demanding it, just because your team told you so. Just because your team told you to do it. I believe you are fully agnostic as to who you fight in your career, and you're going to show that. You're going to continue to show that until your team tells you to go fight whoever. I believe you are not your own boss. And because of all this, I'm glad Bill Haney is publicly shaming Tank Davis and that team. And I'm just going to assume, this is going to be my default position going forward. I'm going to assume that Bill Haney, when it comes to Tank Davis anyway, everything he's saying is the truth. Take the offer. Take the $20 million offer. No rehydration clause. Come on, Tank. Let's do it. Day of Reckoning. I hope it ends up being a great card. I hope it does. I think it's going to be a mixed bag. I think the first 4 to 5 fights on this card is going to be pretty much a wash. But then when it comes to Dubois and AJ and Deontay, things could get sketchy because those are very flawed heavyweights in that top 10. So that part is intriguing to me, yes. But it still is a showcase card, and we'll see what happens with it. I should see y'all one more time before Christmas. If I don't, I want to say Merry Christmas to everybody. I hope everybody gets what they want out of Christmas. And I don't mean gifts. I just mean, I know the holiday time, particularly a lot of the stuff me and my wife do. And I don't want to highlight too much of it. Chauncey will know what I'm talking about. But we see a lot of pain out there. We see a lot of people going through tough times. And I always keep in perspective that the holiday times are a hard time for a lot of people to deal with. So if you are one of those people in the chat or watching this in the archives, if you are one of those people, I hope that you get what you want out of this holiday season, this Christmas. And I don't mean gifts. I just hope that you get what you want out of it. I hope things start going well for you. And I'll just leave it at that without getting too emotional. But yes, blessings to everyone out there. And I hope if I don't see you guys, which I'm pretty confident I'll see you guys again Friday. But whatever family you have out there, and even if you don't have family, whatever loved ones you have out there, I hope that you can spend a good time with them and see what's really meaningful out there. And I hope the people that are going through tough times end up finding some good out of this week, because I know it could be a tough time for a lot of people. So God bless everybody. I'll see y'all again, I'm pretty sure, in 2 days. God bless. Peace.